Auto sprint. This has been a huge topic on my YouTube channel over the past 24 to 48 hours. Everyone is very baffled by the fact that I don't use automatic sprint, in addition to some other sprinting related questions. So I just wanted to dive in, answer all those questions once and for all, make it absolutely apparent to everyone why I use the settings that I use in relation to sprint, along with a few other key points. So first and foremost, I believe that auto sprint is an option that sets you up to fail within the game. And here's why. There's going to be a lot of situations particularly in the hardpoint, CTF, and LTS game modes where you're trying, at least in those first two, where you're trying to enter a tight, closed space where there's a hardpoint or a flag that you're trying to move in on. Sometimes you want to simply walk instead of sprint because it's very, very quiet. Sometimes you want to walk instead of sprint because you want to keep your gun at the ready. When you're sprinting into a room, your gun is not at the ready. There is a 0.25 to 0.5 second raise time on your weapon in general. It doesn't apply to every single gun, of course, but that's just a nice ballpark figure to throw around in your head. Whenever you're sprinting into a room, whatever your reaction time might normally be, you might have to add 0.25 seconds to that because you're waiting for your gun to become ready before you can shoot. Now, of course, there's an argument of, well, when I see a target and I visualize them and start to react to them, while I'm moving my aim onto that target, I can be coming out of sprint and getting my gun ready, and it shouldn't really matter. True, but what about the situation where your crosshairs just so happen to be on top of a person, and now you're waiting for the gun raise animation? You can't just start firing immediately. Yes, this is a very niche thing. It's such a small nuance of the gameplay that you're going to be experiencing in Titanfall 2, but I think it's an important one. I think it's one that you really need to keep in the back of your head and think, is it worth losing some gunfights in some niche situations here and there because my character is forced to sprint forward whenever I hold forward? In my opinion, I would never want to be in that situation. I always want to have the maximum amount of control over my player character that I can possibly have. So having that setting on is a huge detriment for me personally. Now, I'm not saying that you should stop using it ever and that it's terrible and awful and you're a bad player if you use it. It's nothing like that. But just recognize some of the negatives associated with always being forced to sprint when you walk forward. The same thing applies to Last Titan Standing, which I mentioned before. A lot of times you're going to be in a big lineup with a bunch of friendly Titans. You're trying to walk forward and walk back around some awkward corners to peek and poke and shoot and go back in, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And whenever you're forced to sprint when you walk forward, you can't raise your gun in time to peek that corner and shoot and be ready to fire and then go back in. You're just hurting yourself. You're making yourself be exposed for a longer period of time. You're risking more damage to yourself, which is very, very important in a game mode like LTS, where the entire concept of winning is based upon how much health each team has. And if you're exposing yourself for too long, you're forcing yourself to take extra damage, or at least not forcing yourself, but you're making it possible to take more damage than you should, and you're giving your team a big disadvantage by doing this. So that's just my thoughts on why it's a good idea to try getting used to manual sprint. There's other options and other reasons as to why you may choose to or not to use it, but those are the ones that I personally believe in and subscribe to. And that's why I am the way I am when it comes to auto sprint. Now, a couple other quick notes. A lot of people are asking, is auto sprint or manual sprint the better choice when it comes to bunny hopping and mobility and slide hopping or whatever it is that you're trying to do? The answer is that it really doesn't matter whatsoever. You can use whichever setting floats your boat. It's not going to affect your ability to bunny hop. It's not going to affect your ability to wall run. It's not going to affect your ability to slide or anything. All it changes is what button you have to press to make sprint happen. Do you have to press a button to sprint, or do you not have to press a button to sprint? That's all that it changes. When it comes to bunny hopping, the sprint button is not part of the equation. The only two buttons that are part of the equation when bunny hopping are jump and crouch. Those are the only two buttons that you care about. Nothing else matters. So the sprint doesn't come into effect. So just to answer that question in one big swath, no. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Use what's most comfortable for you. But again, consider using the manual option. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope that this has been informative to you, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.